Amazing. So we just finished, a few minutes ago with some amazing startups embracing sustainability transformation and bringing into their business model circular economy. I'm very pleased to welcome on stage key player of the watchmaking and jewelry industry that will explain you why combining innovation, community, and circularity is a key factor to success in the future. So let me invite on stage Suzanne WONG, Editor-in-Chief of Worldtempus, and she will be our moderator today. Welcome. The next one to join us will be Tirath KAMDAR, General Manager of the Luxury Division at eBay, and as well, founding partner of this amazing event. Please, a big applause now for Patrik HOFFMANN, Executive Vice President of Watchbox. And last but not least, I'm pleased to invite on stage Alexis, BLEZ, co-founder and CEO of 58 Facettes. The floor is yours, guys. Enjoy.
Wow, thank you for that. Thank you for welcoming us to the room. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Reluxury. Hope everyone's been having an amazing day, like it's just so far discovering the inaugural edition of this groundbreaking salon. I know you guys have lots of things to see, lots of people to talk to, so I'm just going to jump straight into the topic with our exceptional panelists here. Now, the topic, in case you haven't noticed, is why online retail needs innovation, community, and circularity to perform. Now, we assume that these things are perhaps true of every single type of retail, whether it's online or not. But first of all, let's investigate a bit the premise of this talk. We assume that online retail does require innovation, community, and circularity in order to perform. But is that 100% true? And are all these factors equally important? I think that's something also important to discuss. Which are more important than others? Are there any other factors which we have forgotten, but also perhaps merit discussion? Now, I know this is a multi-part question, but I'm going to start with Patrik, our industry veteran, to tell us a bit about his take on what are the factors.
You're going to throw me in there, okay. So I think it's important. I'm talking mostly about watches, of course, and the watch industry. And I think we are talking also about luxury. And the first thing which comes to my mind is I always want to make a statement that the watch industry as such, the mechanical watch industry, is a very sustainable product as such. And I think when we talk about circular economy, when we talk about community, when we talk about innovation in the retail, we always have to start at the product, the people around the product, and at the end, the consumer. So the circularity has to come out of the product. I think the people who are behind the product and producing the product have to understand circularity and innovation. And it can only be driven if the end consumer wants to have that circularity. And I think that's where the circle then closes. And that's my input to start with from a watchmaking sustainable point.
In fact, what you're saying is that it can't just be like something that you add on. It has to be part of the overall culture. It has to be fundamentally embedded into the system from the beginning. Alexis, is that something you agree with?
No, I think I agree with that. To add to Patrik's point, circularity comes first on the product, but I think then the consumer can join in this sustainable commitment and say, okay, now that I've bought my product, that I don't use it anymore, maybe I can give my product a second life, sell it, and buy another product. So be part as well of this circular economy. And that's where, for example, at 58 Facettes, we come in and we allow people to sell their jewels safely. And, we have our experts here at 58 Facettes that are able to certify the jewels. And it's really important that once the product is made, you have solutions, you offer solutions to clients to be able to provide a full circular economy to the, I mean, the full cycle, full circular cycle to the product.
In a sense, some people might think that because you deal mostly with jewelry, and that's mostly very material specific and material dependent, would you say that circularity then actually becomes, takes on a stronger role in jewelry rather than compared to watchmaking, which perhaps has a bigger percentage of different factors, like technology or so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think first of all, jewelry is the product by excellence that is made for circularity. It's the most durable goods. You can buy jewelry that are 100 years old. Diamonds are 100 million years old. Gold, it doesn't age. You can polish it. It's as new. And yet, jewelry, though, is quite behind in terms of all this pre-owned market. A few numbers on that. The second-hand jewelry market is only 3% of the new market at the moment, while looking at watches, it's already 40 to 50% of the new market. And other categories, like cars, for example, the second-hand car market is already 3 to 4 times bigger than the new market. So actually, the consumers are already ready to buy second-hand. The problem I see specifically on jewelry is that you don't have enough big players that allow people to buy and sell safely second-hand jewels.
That's interesting, a point that you bring up, that it's all about the customer's mindset and how prepared they are to really embrace this whole concept of pre-owned. But that's a point we're going to keep for later in this discussion. Tirath, we come to you because you are the man with the global view. Do you, first of all, agree with this triple requirement of innovation, community, and circularity in online retail, and why online retail in particular?
Yeah, no, we absolutely agree with that, right? And I agree with what both Patrik had noted earlier about it really starts with the product. The other way I love defining this is from the consumer's view, right? At the end of the day, what is this world going to look like 5 to 10 years from now? And what is the consumer behavior going to look like? And what do they want, right? And I think they are the driving force of the future of the circular economy and defining that for what they really want it to be, right? And we found it at eBay through even our partnership with Vogue Business. We found in the last year about 69 to 70% of folks have bought pre-owned, not new, right? 80% of the Gen Z consumers have bought new, and a third of them have resold in the same year. We're also finding that this next generation is very influenced about their online purchases when they know there's a sustainability factor. About 37% are influenced through their purchase because there's a sustainability angle. So all this is leading up to the consumer driving that and what they want for themselves. And then the question is, okay, there's innovation, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, and what are the innovations that are happening, right? As you know, at eBay, and I agree with what you said too on the jewelry front, and there's a big opportunity in the secondary market. But now let's look at it from a global view in the jewelry front, right? We found in the US market that the pre-owned market is growing much faster than new. We are finding large traction in the pre-owned market to be very large, larger numbers that even you had noted in the American market. But when you start getting to the market we're currently in, there's still a big opportunity in the European and in the UK market, for example. And that's the reason we have collaborated with somebody like GIA in the US to launch Authenticity Guarantee, because authenticity is such an important component of driving sustainability, driving circularity, because the transparency and trust process for that next generation is a critical driving factor.
Yeah. Tirath, you brought up some amazing points, and we're going to dig into them a little later. But something that you mentioned is to talk about what this world is going to look like, what our customers are going to start demanding more and more, and in a way that's asking us to kind of predict the future, right? So how do we do that? Do we do that through simulations, projections, industry reports, studies? One way is perhaps to look at something that preceded us precedent, basically. So when we talk about circularity, when we talk about innovation, when we talk about community, do you guys have any personal anecdotes or observations as to how each or perhaps all of these things have actually contributed to a business flourishing and, shall we say, becoming a success in online retail? Alexis, do you want to start? And then we'll go on to Patrik and then back to Tirath.
Yeah, I think what's key is community for online resale. because overall in this e-commerce industry, it's becoming more and more competitive, and you have more and more various brands and players that will try to advertise online and get new customers. So in the end, the impact is your cost of acquisition of a new client is increasing and will keep on increasing over the years. So now that you know that it's going to cost more and more, you want to find new ways to attract new customers and to do this acquisition of new customers for your platform as a second-hand e-commerce player. And that's where community plays a huge role. This is way more organic, and it's a way to both create a very loyal community of clients that will spread by word of mouth your brand and your platform. And so both from this acquisition perspective and also from the perspective where you will be able to understand more your client needs, because this is a community with whom you are interacting as a brand, as a platform, and you can get feedback as well. So it's not only online or e-commerce is not only anymore about pushing forward what you have to sell. You also want to get feedback from your community, from your clients. And so community is key for any e-commerce player. That's at the core of what we do at 58 Facettes and what I think all the players need to do in the future. And then innovation will play as well a role in terms of how you use data, the data of your community, to tailor your solutions to their needs and to be able to target exactly what you want to, what you can sell to them or not.
So we can see that in your case, perhaps we can say that community is really the key pillar for you. I guess that's something you observe directly from your experience with 58 Facettes, things about direct feedback and consumers. Hopefully we can get some cool anecdotes from you later, maybe when you're speaking to the audience about how that really anchors this kind of example in a solid way. Patrik, what's your take? Do you have any insight or personal experiences?
I'd like to give some background about Watchbox, and
Yes.
I have a problem actually with the word innovation, okay? Because innovation, in my opinion, and excuse my language, has been prostituted. I think it's very difficult to subscribe what is actually, or describe what is innovation. So what we do, or what we did with Watchbox was, I would call it not innovational at all, because it existed already. If we look at the car industry, they knew already decades ago that the value of the second-hand cars, the pre-owned value of the second-hand cars, is really the underpinning value of the brand and of the new cars. So the car industry understood this. The watch business didn't understand that. And I can say this because I was in the primary market. I was running a brand, so I can be critical about myself in the past. The watch industry is very traditional and rather slow in reacting. And circularity was not there, even though I said before the product itself is sustainable. The CEOs were teaching and preaching the pieces can be repaired in 200 years. They last forever. Really sustainable. But the belief was you sell the product, you produce the product, you sell it, and that's it. And after that, for the CEOs, it was done. But that didn't work because the end consumer wants something else. If you own an Audi car and you want to replace it and go and buy a new Mercedes, you go to the Mercedes dealer and you say, look, here is my Audi. Can I trade it into a Mercedes? The Mercedes dealer would already 20 years ago say, no problem, I'll give you a fair price, you do the deal, you get the Mercedes. Mm-hmm. In the watch industry, that was unknown. So basically what Watchbox did 5 years ago is really adapted what the car industry understood before. Mm-hmm. We realized the end consumer didn't want to hold on to the product forever. They wanted to sometimes monetize the watches, because we also realized that if somebody has 10 watches in the drawer, they would probably use 2 or 3, and the rest would be in the drawer. They didn't know what to do with it. So we allow them to monetize. So what we are doing in a way is what the car industry understood before. And it's very important to understand that, I mentioned before, the underpinning value of a brand for the new product is actually the value of the second hand.
That's a good point, actually, to really sort of investigate what is innovation. Because if that's not what you choose to call innovation, what will you choose to call it? Adaptability, future-oriented mindset?
No, I think it's at the end, give the consumer what he wants.
Yes.
And before we said, where do you want to go? I would say today innovation would be to go into the brain of the Gen Zs and of the millennials, understand them, and then come up with a product or with a distribution system to fulfill their needs. Now in the in the case of Watchbox, we have our tagline which says collecting together, and that's where the community comes in. And there it's exactly what you said, Alexis. We bring people together, live their passion, and also learn from there. So we learn actually from the community, or in our case, the collectors.
Patrik, I should name you as the co-moderator because you're so
sorry, I'm
perfect
talking too much.
and on point with what you just said, and actually leads perfectly into what Tirath is going to kind of expound on a bit, I hope, because you were saying that the approach of circularity already existed throughout the wine industry, but it just didn't go far enough. And obviously, in this case, that's a question of vision. That's a question of really sort of looking at the younger generations and perhaps going that extra distance and looking to the future. And now, Tirath, maybe you can take us off on that point.
No, and I completely agree with Patrik on the word innovation, right? Because it's being used and overplayed and it's vague. I actually look at it as execution, right? What are we going to execute and get done for the end consumer? And I completely agree. Like the car industry, there's these playbooks that other industries have just built that is a no-brainer for an industry like watches or handbags or jewelry to adopt. But it's really for the brands eventually to figure out how they want to play a role, right? How will the brands play a role? How will their authorized retailers play a role? And then how do the online players come into that ecosystem? Because it needs to be an ecosystem that really works together, right? It comes back to the other word that we spoke earlier, culture. If the culture is not there across the industry and across these ecosystems, and a true belief, then it's going to be really hard to deliver on that end consumer promise. And we actually at eBay, I would say we see this in 3 core areas, right? 3 core buckets. One is transparency and traceability. You know, that's where we believe the future will be. And what we mean by that, you know, we've launched authenticity guarantee as we spoke about, but the step further than that is the traceability of goods from the primary market to the secondary market and how they're traded, they're sold, and how loyalty is built. And this is where NFTs come into a play. So we believe there's a strong future there, right? NFTs is what we believe to be, it's like a VIP loyalty card that people can actually hold, right? And trade their goods. And this is what the Gen Z wants. They're going to have their digital wallets. It's going to be stored there. They're going to drive sustainable commerce and the circular way of living all through this little wallet, right? If going back, the second part is going to really be around community building. So I totally agree with how community and content and storytelling is coming together. But those stories need to really resonate with that end consumer, right? You're just not selling product and talking about the technicalities of a piece of jewelry or handbags or watches. It's really about what are the stories I'm really buying into and buying into a belief. And we believe and we're bullish on an area, a strong community building area that takes social media to the next level. It's called live shopping. Right? Live shopping has boomed to a $50+ billion sales volume in the Chinese market. We're seeing it boom in US. We've started aggressively investing into it. We held our first one 10 days ago in handbags. I lost count after a while. I think we had 26,000 viewers. Constant commenting, chatting, and community building activities. You're building community with that seller who's selling handbags. You're chatting among each other. And you're doing it in this live commerce format. Super bullish on this next year across luxury and being able to take off. And the last part is data, right? The data component, the power of data, that goes back to what Patrik's point is on pricing, right? A true brand really creates its brand equity and value based on what's really happening to their pricing and their stories in the secondary market. So how do you get involved in that? The data on pricing, the data that can actually help brands, the community, and consumers to actually know when to buy and sell and reach that next generation consumer. So I think all these things are going to start to merge and start moving really, really fast, starting in 23 and beyond. I think that's what will set the future of the sustainable commerce market.
Yes, really strong points made. Thank you for making the correlation and the bringing in other industries, actually, because one thing I've often observed is that watch brands can find it challenging or difficult to approach retail, and I think this is very strong specifically because the watch industry, compared to other luxury sectors, came to retail really, really late. And I think we've all observed that it gives us lots of knock-on effects, like in recent years, the drastic shift in distribution models, the really late approach that a lot of brands had to CRM, for example. So do you think that perhaps embracing online retail is the way for us to catch up? Patrik.
I'm so critical about the watch industry now, and I'm sorry for that. But I think what we have seen over the last 3, 4 or maybe 5 years, retailers and also watch manufacturers come up with their own website. Not website, with their own click and buy possibility. And they were very proud. And I can tell you this is nothing yet. It's not innovational for sure. Because once you have click and buy on your website, nothing is going to happen. You need a whole structure behind it. You need an idea behind it. You still have to have an experience for the consumer, because click and buy in our business, which is luxury, will not work. And so they have to understand that there has to be an omni-channel. And I think they started to understand, and that's why they're also approaching now online and brick and mortar. And it has to be an omni-channel strategy. And what happened before is the watch manufacturers didn't really know the end consumer. And they realized that they have to have a direct communication, again, community comes into my mind, with the end consumer. And I think this is happening. It's just happened a little bit too late or a little bit too slow, but it's happening. But it has to do with transparency, omni-channel, giving an experience, and know the customer.
Mm-hmm. So it's not about just having the idea, as we've said a couple of times before in this discussion already. It's about implementation, it's about execution, and it's about how you surround that idea with the systems to make it work. Alexis, would you be able to share your experience in setting up that kind of platform that's customer-facing, that gives them that support and that confidence to be able to buy on your...
I mean, I totally agree with Patrik on the point that it's not only about putting together a website and then you wait and see what happens. You know, nothing happens. You have a product, people can pay for it, but then what's your strategy about it? It's all about execution, all about your acquisition, how you get traffic on your website. And now that you have traffic, once you have traffic, how you convert it to actual client. So you need to have a full funnel of acquisition that is highly optimized at every single point of contact that will allow you to make sales. And I think just to touch upon your first question about, you know, should I go to online retail or not, or whatever? I think if you're asking the question, it's already way too late. You know, it's something of the past now, as you said. It's omni-channels, and you want to be there at every potential touch point of your clients. You know, the clients, they are not any more interested in going to your boutique that is located, you know, in the center of Paris. Your clients, they are global, they are traveling, and they have an iPad, they have an iPhone, everything. So you need to be there, and you need to interact with them everywhere at any time. And that's the reality of things. So I think on my side, my personal experience of 58 Facettes, indeed, you need to create your product, so your, you know, the platform, how you build your platform that allows people to buy and sell safely jewelry, and then you have to put in place processes that, in terms of operation, how you deal with actual product. You know, you need to ship some product to from A to Z and to have them expertise. So you have a lot of actually, it's not pure online and you think, oh, this is going to be easy or whatever. It's not. It's really operational as well. And then you have a lot of all the strategy about acquisition, content strategy as well, education of your clients. So it's basically, it's not, it's not just a website. It's a whole operation, and it's a full-time job. And you need to have teams, people working on every single subject to make it happen. It's hard.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool what you observe, and thank you for sharing that with us. Tirath, I guess you don't really face the same infrastructural challenges as Alexis, since you have the massive sort of strength of eBay behind you. But what's your take on what the others have contributed so far?
Well, absolutely. Look, I think we have our own challenges, and I mean, I came from the startup world before too, and it is really hard just to throw a website up. Many brands have tried. LVMH even many years ago said, okay, here's online shopping, but it took a lot of end-to-end management. It takes everything from customer management, payment, checkout, how do you process payments, how do you avoid fraud? I mean, it's a lot of work, right? I'd love to touch on Patrik's point on omnichannel, so I absolutely believe in omnichannel. I really think that's strong. If you a place like eBay, we are a home to many offline retailers, right? We actually support the online presence of offline retailers, allow them to communicate with customers, and as a result, they're building their own brand recognition, and that could result in more foot traffic for their stores. And that's what we really pride ourselves on, eBay creating economic impact for many others. One thing I do want to touch on in offline retail and omnichannel, I think you have your traditional offline experiences, but then you have this new generation of experiences, which I think what you guys are doing at Watchbox, and I've seen, especially in the US market, with these amazing lounges, right? Or Audemars Piguet is starting to do these lounges, and it's really becoming more of an experience destination than here I am, I'm just looking at showcases full of watches or jewelry or handbags, I'm going to have a traditional shopping experience. So I think being able to connect that to your online experience, and then you'll be able to provide great offline experiences or events. And this is something at eBay we've started to do, right? We've started to put on offline experiences, like a great seller meetup we did in Los Angeles, California. We look forward to doing more across the UK and European markets, and how to connect those dots between what we're showing up in an online experience to have a really fun, lively offline experience where you can not only shop, but just embrace in the stories across all these wonderful sellers. And it's something, similar to what we're doing here at Reluxury, right? We have these amazing sellers and created this offline experience, and we look forward to definitely investing more in that, because we do believe that is the way of future. It's not just going to be pure online. You need to have an experience element offline. And I think that's where a loyalty play across NFT plays a major role as well.
Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily that online retail can provide the answer or the solution to all the problems
Correct.
that are being faced by the luxury industry, whatever they are. But it definitely needs to be a weapon in the arsenal. That's what you're trying to tell us.
Absolutely, and I think it's a major weapon, right? If you look at the luxury industry, right, they tend to go after the emerging market that they call China or the Asian market and keep going there. But if you really think about where the largest penetration could be across the markets we're in currently, and in the US, and the biggest emerging market is online, right? The huge presence of the online market and Patrik, love to hear your thoughts on this because you came from the brand world. The brands haven't really embraced. They have strategies and they've been very slow to go after that. And so I do think there's a massive opportunity, and the biggest emerging market I believe in the world will be the internet, and it is the internet. And most of the time, China is being chased, but how do you really start embracing online internet? And now that is becoming the destination of the future of pre-owned and circular economy. Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts on that from the brands?
I don't know if I can weigh in on that,
We were talking about having a glass of wine before this discussion. Maybe Patrik is starting to feel happy that we didn't.
Some alcohol, we would have been more unfiltered, right?
No, but really, so let's just have a couple more responses from the both of you, Alexis and Patrik, before we toss the floor open to the audience to ask some burning questions. I'm sure there's full of questions in the audience. Do you guys have any?
I think what came to my mind when you were talking, Tirath, experience. Today, I think it has changed. I think the experience is also in education. Mm-hmm. And it also means people come to us, they are very well educated and sophisticated. So the experience there is if they can talk to somebody who speaks their language.
Right.
And where they can see eye to eye. Mm-hmm. So it's not about just seeing a product and maybe not even have a salesperson behind the counter who knows less. It is to be eye to eye, and this can be online because you talk through WhatsApp, through emails or whatever, or it can be in a lounge in our case, or it can be also in a traditional retail store. But experience has to be connected with education and knowledge.
Yes. What I'm hearing from that is, number one, education is key, and number two, you have absolutely to share the same values with your audience in order to communicate with them. Alexis, do you have anything to add?
I think it's very interesting. I would add a personal interaction. So the consumers now, they want to have a personal interaction with the brand, and they want to have it now, and they want to have it live on any channel. So that's the key. I think you want to be as open as possible as a brand, as an online player, as reachable as possible, and be able to have one-on-one discussion, literally one-on-one discussion, where you share your knowledge, you are providing education, and you're sharing your passion as well, and your values as a brand. And that's how you build a real community, and that's how you grow your brand.
Absolutely, 100% true. And it's funny that you talk about these things being essential: openness, immediacy, inclusivity, because I think that these are values that the luxury industry has traditionally struggled with. And on that note, we're going to open up the floor to questions from the audience. Would you please raise your hand, and someone from the side will come to you with a microphone so we can all hear.
Any questions for our great panelists?
They've raised some excellent points, so I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't any questions because they've been so convincing, Everyone here is absolutely on the same page.
You have so much to learn, so do not hesitate to ask any question. This is a time, to
There's a gentleman just over there.
So question to you, Patrik. You're talking a lot about experience and what needs to be added to this kind of online shopping community and driving this extra mile and making people aware of what you do. So what is the experience that you have to offer? I mean, you said click and buy is easy, it doesn't work, but what is it that you do offer on top?
Well, I invite you to come to our booth.
I love it.
I can tell you, you will have never seen an experience or have an experience like this, just in terms of product. But what I would like to add, I said, I didn't say it like this, but I would like to say it now. I do not believe in click and buy in what we are doing. I think it does not work. So the way we act, even though we actually come from an online business, we want to interact with the consumer. We don't want the consumer to go on our website and click and buy. We encourage them to talk to us, that we can exchange, and that we know the customer. We give them experience with knowledge. If you go onto our website or into our channels, YouTube channel or whatever, you are going to find today about 8,000 videos. You can literally get educated about 4,500 models, watch models. You want to know anything about a certain model, a certain reference, you go to that YouTube channel and you get educated. So I think in our case, a lot of the experience is education. The customer experience when they transact with us it's just very fast, and it's always having the end consumer in our mind, in focus.
But sorry, if I may, Patrik, it's perhaps not exactly that click and pay doesn't work. It's just that click and pay doesn't work without supporting outreach.
Exactly. And it is, and I come back again. What we are doing is maybe not more innovational than what the car industry did before. If you walk into a Tesla showroom today, there might be no Tesla there. The salesperson in the Tesla store goes through a website with you and helps you to click the red button at the end. You could do that at home in your chair, but you're not going to do it because it's going to be an investment of maybe 50, 60, 80,000 Swiss francs. So you have that sales associate who takes you by the hand, leads you through, and helps you click that red button at the end, even though you could do it click and buy at home. And that's basically, to a certain extent, what we are doing.
Do any of the other two panelists have anything to add to that, or should we see if we have another question?
You answered it well.
I believe there's
answered it
a...
well.
Is that a... Sorry, I don't know if you're waving to each other or trying to raise a hand. Okay. All right.
Okay.
While we're waiting for perhaps another last question from an audience, I know people take some time to work up the courage to ask, but I do have another one because I didn't quite get through my little list here. And one of the most attractive things about venturing to online retail and embracing that as a part of your business, to me, is the matter of, you actually raised it just now, when you're talking about omni-channel, about being able to support offline businesses as much as online retailers in order to give them access to audiences that they couldn't previously reach. And to me, community access is key, being able to lower the barriers to entry for a market, the luxury market, that has traditionally been seen as very exclusive and exclusionary to our detriment towards certain audiences. And to me, online retail really is kind of the way to break open those customer demographics, which perhaps would not feel super welcome or super made to feel like they really belonged in a physical boutique, from examples that we've heard, unfortunately, or people that we know relating incidents to us. That doesn't happen. It shouldn't happen, but it happens. What's your approach to, what's your take on perhaps online retail being able to give us access to these new audiences that don't feel comfortable in traditional retail luxury environments?
Yeah, no, I can take that one really quickly. No, I think it's great, both from the buyer side as well as the seller side, right? Mm-hmm. And let me talk about the seller side. We talk about online retailer being, and especially a place like eBay, that you're getting access to sell your supply to, in eBay's case, 135 million active global buyers. But if you look at the type of sellers, we spoke a lot about businesses. Watchbox is a really great partner for eBay, and they're a seller on eBay. But the consumers are the largest element. If you really think about where is the majority of inventory right now in this world, it's not in showrooms, it's in people's homes. We believe 92% of luxury goods are just sitting in people's homes. So unlocking the value of that, knowing that the majority of that's not being worn, whereas the car industry, again, has done a phenomenal job in certified pre-owned, trade and trade up, the consumer's closets is great. So, for us, becoming a really strong destination, we have tons of consumers' closets, people selling their Rolexes, their Zenith watches, their Richard Milles or other brands, and being able to do that for a couple of reasons. One, they want to just get something new, right? Using that cash right back on the platform. But knowing that, hey, I can also reach a large audience because this organization has the data and the search algorithms to target audiences' behavior and get my product in front of the right audience, and know that, hey, there's trust factors and seller protections built that once I sell through, I'm not going to see my money get automatically refunded. I'm going to be able to see the sell through. I'm not going to be defrauded. And all these protections are really critical that we built that at eBay. And you're reaching these large audiences, right? And audiences are also wanting more personalization, more relevant offering. The world is getting more cluttered online. Look at TikTok and all the ads, and go to any social media platform. You're getting hit by ads and offerings non-stop every second. So how do you build a relevant offering, especially when somebody comes to your online site versus when they're offline? That's a huge element as well. So relevancy and personalization are key driving factors. And I think the innovations around artificial intelligence are really getting stronger and stronger to really drive that.
Mm-hmm. Right, I think we're being told to wrap things up, so it's up to me to just say thank you very much to our panelists today. Thank you, Patrik, thank you, Alexis, and thank you, Tirath. Please join me in giving them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming over to you to wrap up.
Yes, thanks a lot. I just would like to thank you, because all the messages that you shared this afternoon with us resonate so much with me. Because
that's what Reluxury is about.
Yeah, and on top of that, I've been part of, digital transformation for more than 20 years. I launched my first e-commerce website in 2002, and I just would like to raise the fact that if I can wrap up a few messages that are critical and that I think that everyone should take as a gift to move forward, is the fact that we have to combine. It's all about combination of tech to bring innovation. It's about offer a new customer experience by nurturing them with content and added value. It's all about data to track the progress, and it's all about the sustainability to bring impact. But I think that at the end, something which is absolutely critical, nothing can happen if we're not able to educate, upskill, and reskill not only the end consumer, but as well the teams. You know, because the shift and the technology that will, I mean, if we talk about Web3, for example, Tirath just mentioned the fact that NFTs and blockchain will definitely impact the business. We have not mentioned about, you know, the metaverse. And we're talking about omni-channel. And omni-channel, they are not closed world. It's a combination of world. You combine all together. So definitely what is important is the fact that we need to break silos, not only in the business, but as well in the way we manage the team, in the way we interact with the end consumer. And it's not anymore a question of being brand-centric. It's all about being super consumer-centric by bringing personalization, by listening, by analyzing the data. And for sure, having a e-commerce, it was, you know, something that you should have 10 years ago. Now it's not enough. You need to bring even more. And for sure, you should not miss the train of Web3 because blockchain NFT will bring so much and the impact will be even stronger and even faster. So last but not least, to end this short summary, I think what is important is just be super open-minded and get the inspiration to disrupt your business from the outside of your industry. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I read the fact that Tirath and eBay was a founding partner of this event, but I've not mentioned the fact that Watchbox is a main partner of this event as well, and 58 Facettes, an exhibitor. So I truly invite you to go on their booth and just follow this conversation to get as much as possible from those amazing panelists. Thank you very much.